Let's go live. Do you know, by the way, breaking news, I have been invited today to the Arsenal press conference.
Fabrizio.
There he is.
I will see Mikel Arteta in the flesh.
I mean, everybody in the chat, whoever's here, start to ask your questions. If you ever wanted to ask Mikel, canon exclusive.
Yeah.
Canon.
Do you get to ask a question or no?
I actually do, I think, but
oh really?
So the way it works, right, is there's an Arsenal like a press lady, something like that, and basically she kind of chooses people to ask questions. Now, in a press conference post game, like in terms of in the stadium, very unlikely to get a chance to ask a question. But for a game, like for a pre-match press conference, there's a good chance. Last year, I think a few of the guys from AFTV went and they asked about Mbappe and stuff like that. So
we've got to get a question. We've got to get a question from the chat. We need to decide what the question should be. We should all get a say in this. I love this.
Anyways, chat, welcome to the Cannon Podcast. We are here. All three of us are here today. It's the trio on a live stream. As you can see, the topic we're talking about Arsenal's predicted 11 for the 2024-25 season, which sounds a bit mad to say because we're actually nearly here. Less than a month. We're there. The Premier League season starts. We are in pre-season right now. We have people in the chat straight away. Can't blame George this time because look, he's on time. Everyone's on time. No one's late this time. Last time George was a bit.
Were you late, George? What happened?
I was just a
little bit.
It was a mess in terms of just I got interrupted in terms of meeting room. We tried to coordinate different times between flights. It was a mess. It was a mess.
Yeah. Questions for Mikel. Mikel, what is your favorite shampoo to use? I don't think I'll be asking that question, but I might. Mikel, why is Odegaard your favorite player? No capping. We need to ask something comedic, surely. Should I ask Mikel English or Spanish?
I feel like it might go over his head. I want to ask something really insightful, but I haven't got anything.
We'll get something.
I have something that I'd like to.
George is going to have some very tactical questions. So, Mikel, how about the finishers? Are they going to be amazing this season?
How do you feel about that impression, George?
You know what? It's kind of like when they have a typical white person in comedy and they go
dream.
"Oh, I'm just going to talk like this."
Forehead.
Oh.
Yeah. It's because I'm trying to grow my hair out and I haven't done it. Basically, I've had sunglasses on my head all day and I haven't had time to do my hair, so I'm just keeping them there to sort of hold my hair down.
Alex, do you want to pronounce this player's name, by the way?
Okay, I got done yesterday on a stream with, you guys might have seen the clip, with someone who basically completely did me with Shucha Magic, which was obviously meant to be suck on, you know what I'm trying to say. That looks like Yanni Tolwar. I don't know what that is, and I'm worried. I know it's a one. Oh, I know what it is.
God, what is it? Because I'm intrigued by it now.
I won't be saying it. You won't be saying it.
Okay, we have to preserve the CPN, which is very important. Mikel, what is your nickname? I mean, what Mikel's nickname be?
Chat, we need a
chat. Give us some questions, man.
Yeah,
Don't be in the chat.
I actually have a serious question. I don't even know I was going to answer it. I do. It's in a previous interview, you had mentioned that box efficiency was something that you were looking to improve this season. How do you hope to achieve that?
That is genuinely a brilliant question.
Okay, so we'll ask him about box efficiency.
So you mentioned
previously
to ESPN. You mentioned previously to ESPN that you would like to improve box efficiency. How do you plan on doing that?
Can someone in the chat please write it down so I can fully remember that as that, right? I don't want to be just stuttering up, Mikel. So box of. No, that's not.
You're never beating the stoned allegations, Bhavs.
Yeah. Oh, listen. Let's be completely honest and play it right now. Last podcast, I was stoned, absolutely stoned, to the point where I was tripping in and out. So I just looked at George a few times and I was like, "Is that George? Why am I doing that kind of podcast? How have I landed here?"
It's killing me. It's killing me that I'm your sobering thought.
No, because I had to
You'd had a fun night the night before. We won't say what you were doing.
It wasn't fun though. It wasn't fun.
And it was 6 a.m. when you were recording. So you were normally people say you look like you're asleep, and you're not asleep. You're just looking down.
No, that's right. I'm done that. But this time, I honestly, I don't know how I survived. I don't know how, but I made it through. Right, I made it through. Anyways, we got a super chat from Shay who says, "Have you heard of Tottenham signing empty cabinet? Meaty cabinet. Have you seen the video of the Spurs
Yeah,
fans
it's
going?
unbelievable.
I
It's
think
so
he's an
good.
amazing player. I think he's got fantastic pace and power. Fabian Ruiz, listen, we're going to answer these questions towards the end of it. There will be a Q&A, but we have some topics to discuss, things to break down, as always. And we're going to start off with the game. Was it on Wednesday against AFC Bournemouth? Which, by the way, we've got the scoreline there, and we'll go over the thoughts. But we actually have more than that. We've got the stats. We've got the XG, right? We've got everything here.
This guy's prepped.
Look. Tell you what, right? Arsenal lost this game on XG. Which can we celebrate as a win? Does it really count?
Where's the field tilt? No!
The field tilt is even worse.
No!
Lads, no chance of a title this year. I'll tell you right now. I think we have to forget about that. Maybe top 4 Champions League football. What do you think, guys?
Let's just give up now. We've lost the field tilt trophy. Don't bother.
To Bournemouth,
might as well tear it up.
Can we just talk about the Bournemouth kit for a second? I swear that basically was Bayern Munich's kit.
I have to be honest. I didn't watch the game. I fell asleep. So
not a real fan, really, guys.
I'm
not
not
a
a fan.
Can't be a
Do you
real
know
fan.
what?
Can't be a real
I have
fan.
so much respect. I had before.
Chat, let them know that.
Yeah, let me know. I had before, but I have so much respect for international fans. I thought I could power through. Basically, I had 2 coffees, and then I thought I'll have a sleep, and then maybe 10 minutes before the game I'll wake up, and I just slept through my alarm. Next thing I knew, it was 10 a.m. So that's on me.
The proper fans don't do that. Proper fans go to the game. I was there. But yeah, we'll talk about the game in a sec. We've got a question here from Mafio. It says, guys, can you guys believe people actually think Rice can't play as a 6? It's actually weird. George, do you have any thoughts? Or Alex, you got any thoughts?
Of course he does.
No. Of course, I have serious thoughts about it.
We'll see you guys in 10 minutes after George gets in.
George, do you have thoughts on Declan Rice?
How long do we have? It's a
stage is yours.
Yeah, no, I do find it actually quite weird, to be honest with you. I find it quite strange that people have essentially spun this into something being an actual topic, and we're giving it more airtime than it really deserves, to be honest with you. I mean, this idea that Arsenal don't play Declan Rice as a 6, or he can't be a 6, or that he requires a 6 to even be functional is just absolutely ridiculous. For the better part of 2/3 of our campaign, Declan Rice was thriving as one of the best midfielders in the league as a 6. So, I mean, we really need to stop this idea and also stop this debate, because really we don't play with a lone anchor. We really play with a double pivot anyway. So this idea, which Declan Rice himself has talked about in plenty of interviews, means that just because he plays as an anchor doesn't mean he can't operate in different heights. Doesn't mean that he can't affect play higher up the pitch. And in fact, when you do have a ball side play, or we're advancing on the right, let's say, Declan will try to find spots through the right. And then similarly, his midfield pivot partner will do the same on the left. And so we see this countless times. So I just think that people overplay this idea about him receiving. There are times that I feel that Declan can do a little bit better in terms of deep buildup, in terms of some of the angles that he does. But in terms of the passing, his disguise on passes, it's just utter agenda. It really is what it is. People don't watch the game for me.
It's also like a 6 isn't one thing. People go, he can't play as a 6. Well, what do you mean by 6? Do you mean someone who's a destroyer and breaking up play? Do you mean someone who's progressing? Do you mean someone who's playing sort of, the sort of tiki-taka stuff that Barcelona, which version of 6 do you mean? I don't know what you mean.
No, they want the slow Jorginho deep-lying playmaker.
It's a bizarre thing to say. I don't get what that even means when you say he can't play 6. It just doesn't, it's like, what? It's a weird thing to say.
Has Alex Bhavs even said or ever said anything about how we have signed George's doppelganger? Who is...
Calafiori.
Calafiori.
It was the joke George made on our scouted video that we signed his doppelganger. I see it a little bit. People say Sammy and Nasri. People say Sammy and Nasri for you.
Sammy and Nasri.
I see Sammy and Nasri.
I get that more. I get Sammy and Nasri.
I've seen that before.
Yeah. I see Sammy and Nasri.
You know what, chat? Should I grow my hair out? Try to get a little.
You want this, mate? That's what you want.
He wants the bar. He wants the full bar.
You want this?
Who's Alex Stopgather? That's what I want to know. Chat, let us know.
Do
anyways,
people with that many curls? I don't know.
People on the different knocks say I look like the young Tyson Fury.
I don't know. Did he have hair when he was young?
Yeah, apparently. but I don't.
Okay, we'll
Young
take that.
Tyson Fury.
I don't know. I certainly haven't got his physique. I'll tell you that.
Oh, you look like Moreno. And I'm doing the
Stop.
pronunciation.
Okay.
No, you do not. No, he does not. Moreno.
Stop calling him that.
Oh my god.
Marino. Mika Marino. Anyways, guys, let's get back to the game itself. We did play a game. It was a preseason friendly, and it was 1-1 against Bournemouth. We won on penalties. Carl Hahn considered penalties. What was you guys' overall thoughts on the game itself?
George, you'll have to take this one.
Yeah, clearly all stages are set. No,
No, we want Alex to tell us his real thoughts on this game.
No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, mate. I mean,
Say a few buzzwords.
I don't think that I looked at this kind of game as something that I'm really drawing many conclusions from. I just looked at mainly to see how the youngsters did, to see how the team was looking, and if we could see any new things. I thought Eddie Nketiah had a really good first half and slightly faded towards the second half. I thought Reece Nelson looked sharp, generally from the first teamers, and Urian Timber was a really welcome surprise to see that he's come back and he doesn't look like he's missed a beat. Absolutely. And of course, I'll end on my two youngsters. I think Ethan looked brilliant, but Miles, who very few people will have been able to see, this is probably the first time that many people have actually been able to see him showcasing his ability to compete physically. I thought he did not look out of place, and in fact manhandled many of Bournemouth's front line, and that was Bournemouth's first 11. This wasn't a case of Bournemouth really rotating. We're seeing two sides looking to rotate. I mean, it was really one side playing their first 11 and another side looking to fill in some youngsters and squad players. So I just think that he was brilliant, and I actually think for a kid that really is learning the inverted left back role, because again, just so people might know, he's had a couple appearances in terms of the England internationals where he has done that role, and he's done it at times in the academy. But really, this is a player that's a true box to box midfielder, and we will see it. And I mean, I did predict him to kind of integrate in as an inverted left back, but I thought he did brilliantly. There was a couple times he got beat, but generally speaking, he really imposed himself and did a really important pass for the goal as well to break the deadlock. I thought it was exactly something that we've been missing. So really impressed with him. And generally speaking, I thought Arsenal performed okay, but it looked like a preseason game, didn't it? I really don't think that there was really many tactical conclusions that I could get from it, but it was just a good way for the boys to get their feet wet and get kind of going again.
This is based on a comp, but Jurrien Timber's performance, which honestly most Twitter agendas are, but Jurrien Timber's performance looked unbelievable. Like the quality he shows in
Y'all laughed at me.
You all laughed at me. So many different zones of the pitch, and I did. And listen. Bhavs, we both, because it's both of us, laughed.
I agree with George. I was like, I see the vision. We got the clips.
We both laughed at George for his left central midfield agenda. I still want to see it, for suggesting that Timber could play left central midfield. I still want to see it, to be clear, but like the flexibility he shows between zones. I mean, there was a point where he was like stepping forward as like a centre forward, like playing a slip ball into Nketiah, which was a lovely slip ball, by the way. Like he
was a 10.
When you're technically that good, when you can receive with zero angle bias anywhere on the pitch, it's basically a question of where you want that. He's the ultimate knit the play together player. I love him so much. I think he's so good. Yeah.
He's too technically good not to be in that starting 11. So he's going to have to play somewhere. And it might be George's shot as a left number 8. Matthew with another super chat says, suffers from the English midfield stereotype. Yeah, of course, he's talking about Declan Rice. Then I think so, to an extent. But in terms of this game itself, we talked about Timber and, where we could play next season. But can we talk about Ethan Nwaneri and him potentially being, our replacement for Emile Smith-Rowe if we don't sign another player in the market, George?
I think the profile comparison between the two is not correct. But
why is it not correct?
Well, I mean, that's not the type of midfielder that he is, really. And so you're looking at Ethan. He's much more of an all-phase kind of 8. Somebody that can absolutely pop up in terms of
more like an Odegaard.
Yeah, more like an Odegaard and more in that mold of trying to set the tempo. Like, I mean, you guys saw it even in the play in terms of him operating on the wing. One thing that you do have with Ethan Nwaneri, though, is, and that's a little bit separate to Martin Odegaard, is he does have pretty much like important power in his dribble. Like from a standstill, you saw he's able to create separation and have some acceleration. And so I think, operating on the wings, especially with a consistent overlap, is not something that you can ignore for this coming season, because I thought he was brilliant, mate. I thought he he really stuck out on the page, and there were some really sharp moments, some really bright runs, but just generally speaking, the way that he was handling the ball and how his teammates around him, I've said this previously, but if you just want to have a look at how good these boys are, both Miles and Ethan, but especially Ethan in higher areas, look at how many times teammates look for him, not where he looks for space. And, when you look at that, you can see these guys trust him absolutely. So he was a stud, and I just think that he and Miles are proving quite a bit why many have called for them to have earlier cameos previously, and they really should be a force this season. Like, I'm looking at, when you talk about Emile Smith-Rowe, we can maybe talk about the replacement in minutes. I can understand that for sure, but in terms of profile, we probably, if you are going to replace him, going to need a different type of profile eventually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Again, didn't watch the game, but I think Ethan didn't come off at halftime. Correct in saying?
He came on the 65th minute, I think.
Yeah, and I think most of the academy guys came off at halftime. So I mean, that's a certain indication. I think, by the way, what George said is really important in terms of watching the trust that other, because we always talk about like the trust of the manager and the trust of the fans. We rarely talk, actually, in any kind of football discourse about the trust of players and watching who people are let to go to. Bukayo Saka must be the most like trusted player in the Premier League, but there's a reason for it. Do you know what I mean? There's a reason players continue to know, well, if I play this pass, I know that's going to be completed. I know he's going to receive it. I know he's going to do something good with it. He's going to make me look good. There was some quotes from Ben White, maybe last summer, I think it was, who was saying it's so easy to play with Saka because he just makes you look he makes every pass that you play him look so good and so effortless. And I think Nwaneri has a bit of that. He has a bit of that sort of that quality where you play him something and he makes something of it every single time. I think he's just a brilliant talent.
You're on mute, buddy.
Bhavs, you're on mute.
My bad. There was another star to show. We had a penalty saving machine, Carl Hine, with another 2 saves. Do you know what, actually?
Why is everyone being mean to me in the chat? Sorry. Akshat Mul. Alex is the student who reminds the teacher about the homework. Sorry, my bad. Who reminds the teacher about the homework just because he had done it for once. Alex looks like a poor man's JT from NSYNC Day. Leave me alone.
What's NSYNC?
Poor guy just came back from holiday. He's just getting roasted.
I'm trying my hardest.
Yeah, Joey. It is what it is. But Carl Hine, 2 penalty saves again. And he's got a bit of record now. Obviously, I've seen him save a few penalties for his country as well. But it was in a game in December 2022. It was a friendly against Lyon. I think he saved 4 in the shootout as well. I mean, some of the worst penalties I've ever seen, but he did save 4 penalties. Do we give this guy a chance next season to maybe play a part, not in the first team, but maybe as a second backup goalkeeper with Ramsdale going as well, or do we have to go and sign a more experienced keeper instead?
I think it's Carl Hayne, by the way. I've recently learned.
Carl Hayne.
We have a problem with pronunciation on this channel.
Actually, it would make sense because the E comes before the I.
Yeah. But yeah, I think what it is with Hayne, whatever it is, Carl, I feel. Why do this? I do feel the new contract was a decision made based on the idea that he's going to go out on loan. In fact, I think Arteta has actually confirmed that. Carl Hines in that sort of position where he's kind of too good to be a third choice, but not quite good enough to be a second choice. I feel with him, or maybe good enough isn't the wrong phrase, but the trust isn't there. I think
he's a full international, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The trust from the club. I think a lot of the time, especially with goalkeepers, when they've come through the academy, it takes a real leap of faith to go, you're good enough. A lot of times with goalkeepers, they have to go somewhere else and then sort of prove themselves before they come back. With with someone like a Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan, they can play out of position. They can be in other areas. You see them more in training. They have a bit more time. I think with a goalkeeper, it's a slightly different thing. So I think we call Hayne. He probably does need to go somewhere else. I can't remember the last goalkeeper we sort of promoted from the academy who became second choice or even became first. Maybe Chesney? Was that the last time?
Was it Martinez?
But that was enforced. Do you know what I mean? Like someone who's had a choice to go, this is a player we're gonna back and we're gonna take. I think it works differently for goalkeepers. So I think with him he needs to go somewhere else.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the chat gets even
nicer, guys.
I mean, it was one nice comment. Somebody was saying Alex is a nice man.
Pick on George. Pick on his pronunciation of players.
Yeah, what is NSYNC? What is NSYNC?
NSYNC is a band.
You're kidding me. You don't know NSYNC.
He's too young.
Maybe I know one of their songs, but NSYNC. It's like One Direction, isn't it?
Right. Right.
I mean,
Chat,
look, I
leave
don't
me
know
alone.
whether-
was
Go
going
after
to
him.
sing. I was going to sing, and I'm
Do
like,
it.
this
George, I wanna
is
hear you
Oh,
sing.
go on,
good.
go on. No,
George, I
no,
wanna
go
hear
on.
you sing.
No, we
I
have,
wanna hear you
we have,
sing.
we have,
I wanna hear you
the
sing.
stage is all yours.
Absolutely.
Now you have to. Now we're not gonna get past this now. You have to sing
Oh
this. Chris.
God. No, like what's one of their famous songs? Like no
Bye, bye,
strings
bye.
attached. Well, you could do, actually that one's probably better.
No strings attached.
Yeah, you don't know that?
I will not be listening to that later. Right. Let's move on. Right. So we've talked about the Bournemouth game. Obviously, Alex didn't watch it. I watched it inside the stadium, and George gave us his thoughts. Let's talk about next season, or this season, I could say now, and Arsenal's predicted 11. Lads, what do you reckon? Who's going to start for Arsenal? We know the formation straight away. We know it's going to be a 4-3-3. But past that, what are we thinking? Raya in goal?
Okay. Should we? Because you're not going to get a straight answer out of me and George on this. So
I will.
Every team has different lineups. Or
Yeah,
something
I've
like
got
that.
it.
But as in, are we saying for like the first game back? Are we saying for like a Champions League final? Like what are we saying?
I'm saying, look, my criteria for this
First game of
was
the season.
we are playing. No, because you can change for certain games, right? Man City or Real Madrid in the Champions League, right? The biggest games. Who's your go-to 11? Who's your go-to players you trust the most? Champions League final. Who you starting?
Okay, big games. All right, well, I'm happy with that. Yeah. Okay.
Ramsdale in goal? Or we going Carl Hayne? Carl Hayne.
I think we can basically select Raya, White, or can we? Saliba.
Let's put the guarantees for now. Let's put Saliba in because
Saliba's in. Saliba's a guarantee.
Yeah.
I would say Ben White is a guarantee personally, but I appreciate.
No,
some
you have
people-
to. I'm not even entertaining that. I'm actually
No,
looking down on people.
I will say, George, I think there are some people who might, especially with Jurriën Timber's form and looking at Calafiori with
That's
this
crazy.
kind of. No, I know, but I'm saying with new toy syndrome, I think there might be a question about that. But I think he'll again prove himself because he has to for some reason. Saka's a guarantee, obviously, and Martin Odegaard, I think, is also an absolute guarantee.
Okay, and that is as.
Declan Rice,
Right.
Declan, sorry.
Yeah. I was gonna say the English tax is getting in there.
Yeah.
Right. So are these our guarantees? Is it? Anyone else I'm forgetting? Where is Declan Rice? There it is.
There is.
No, I don't think so. To be honest with you.
I would have Gabriel in, but again, I would say.
Yeah.
Universally agreed guarantees. I don't think Gabriel's in there. I think there's only 5 in that sort of universally guarantees. I would have Gabriel and White in there, but yeah, maybe,
I would have Gabriel Martinelli in there. There's no guarantee for me that Trossard, Jesus, or anybody else is gonna.
Okay, do you know what I will say? Right, is you're allowed to put your potential signings in as well. So it's not players that we have right now. So if you think we're gonna sign someone, we can put them in strike or in left wing. So it's also open to suggestions. So we're going to go through what we expect our lineup to be next season. So we'll start off with right back.
I was also going to say in a big game, I think Gabriel Magalhaes will start. I suspect there could be a couple of games, the kind of the Lutons and so on, where we might see him get a bit of rest this season, which I think is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we'll see. Let's start for right back though. I mean, Ben White is the option, but you have got Jurriën Timber now as well. So there is some level of competition.
Benjamin White is not leaving the starting 11, and Benjamin White he's the only one that offers some sort of dynamic overlap at any point in the team. Like that is not leaving this 11. If you want to put Jurriën Timber in terms of being at left back inverting, if you want to have Jurriën Timber as a right center back that can come up in different areas as a right back to give Ben a rest because he's got no hamstring, sure. But if we're talking everybody fit, there's absolutely zero chance that Benjamin White is not in the starting
11. Right. Benjamin White is in the starting 11. Left back. Surely it's going to be our brand new signing, Ricardo Calafiori.
But Timber's so good, man.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but
we'll have that. We'll have that debate in another area of the pitch.
Yeah. So wait, are we?
I feel with the links coming out, that left central midfield player would, in a big game, would be the new left central midfield player that I think we're going to sign. I think this will be a new signing, and I think at the moment it looks like a Mikel Merino, but I think that'll be a new signing.
I think it's tough to put new. I'll be honest. I think it's tough to put new signings because they're not in the door. These are all hypotheticals. Like maybe we do it at the end. But we should, in my opinion, consider at least left back. like you're going to debate between Calafiore and Timber, right? And I do think it will depend on different opposition, but I think Calafiore will absolutely become the stalwart in the starting 11, because that's not a player for me, while he is incredibly raw, that I don't think you buy for a rotation piece. Personally, I think
Yeah,
that very much
yeah.
screams starting potential. So I would be comfortable personally putting Ricardo Calafiore at left back. I think obviously Timber will start the season there, and he'll have to earn his potential. But that Calafiore for me is going to be the left back.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. Look, if Champions League final or Man City, it's good options to have. I'll tell you that for a fact. No more collage.
Just for the sake of a podcast, Timber, like, okay, so we're saying basically, George, are you saying that you think Timber will be left central midfield?
Yes.
Ooh.
We have no precedent for that, and we've never seen Arteta do it. Now, does that mean he's not going to do it? Absolutely not. I can't read his mind. Maybe Bhavs can ask him tonight. But I think in the same way that you could say like new signings, like you can't really necessarily put that in. I don't know whether we can say there's going to be a position change and it's going to be Jurriën Timber and he will be there in the biggest games of the season. I would personally, it's difficult though, because it's like what game are we preparing for? If this is a big game and we've got, but that's the thing, it all depends on who we're facing. But I just my point is really, I don't know how comfortable I am with Timber being in the midfield. I don't know how, like, as in I think it might happen, but it just feels too soon to kind of do that, if you know what I mean.
No, I think I personally would have it there. I think when you're starting to look at a big game, especially Madrid, Bernabeu, and you're talking about like Jurriën Timber for me has potential to start. I don't think it's as guaranteed that Moreno, so we'll just say the name because that's the name on everybody's lips. So I think Mikel Moreno isn't a guarantee in the big games. I think he'll very much be a Trossard in terms of his ability to probably work into the 11 and become a mainstay, but I don't think he's quite guaranteed. I look at Jurriën Timber, and for me, it's those two competing for the left central midfield spots. That's what I would like to see next year. And, I think when you start looking at left back, he's somebody that can go in fullback positions. But for me, I kind of agree with Matt here too as well. Like, I think that he'll be fine personally, but you can't guarantee anybody in the 11 right now. And the only thing that I can say is that on a big Champions League night, I'm looking at Ricardo Calafiore to stop the biggest stars, and I think Jurriën Timber can do that role as well. But I think from a perspective of having somebody along that lineup that is able to open up to his strong foot, that is able to provide a little bit more of an overlap for our left wing, I think he just offers a little bit more complementary quality in terms of what we're missing down that side.
Right, we're gonna have to make a choice, and it's gonna be Ricardo Calafiore in a left back, right? And that's our back four sorted out. And we've talked about midfield, Moreno and Timber. We're gonna have to push for an answer. We're gonna go.
I think Martinelli is a very easy thing down the side. We don't have enough outlets and runners down that side. Even with Calafiore, I'm not comfortable having Trossard there. I mean, this happened because of form issues, but this idea that Gabriel Martinelli has been suddenly removed from the lineup is really not something that I'm comfortable with, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree with that specifically, but we're gonna get to Martinelli in a second. I think we have to confirm it first, though. We need to get confirmation there, guys. Here we go, guys. Midfield: Moreno, Timber, maybe someone else, maybe Wanyeri. Give me something else, Alex. Something different. Fabio Vieira.
I've just been staring at that left back slot for like 2 minutes. I can't.
Calafiore that handsome?
I can't. I can't. Okay, say we put Jurriën Timber in there. Say we go with George's idea, and then we end up putting Gabriel Martinelli at left back. Left back. Sorry, we're not going to do that at left midfield.
Whoa.
I don't think we then have absolutely solved this left-hand side issue. I still think we need to find something on the overlap or someone who's
the same thing as having Timber and Moreno, right?
A midfielder who is able to go out there. So for me, that's if let's assume. Can we just sort of do a cutoff point and say the only new signings we're allowing are Calafiori and Marino, because otherwise we're having different conversations. So let's assume Marino is going to happen. There's a really good link, so I think we can assume it's going to happen now. I personally would say Marino, Martinelli, and Timber is a pod I'm more comfortable with than a Calafiori. And then a Calafiori, Timber, Martinelli pod, because I think you get the ability to pull wide with Marino. I don't trust Calafiori. I think he can do it, as we saw on the scouting, George. I think he can do it, but from what I've seen so far of Calafiori, I don't trust him to be able to provide that strong foot overlap as sort of as reliably as Ben White. Nor do I see Jurriën Timber. I just haven't seen it in the midfield. Theoretically, George, I agree with you. I just haven't seen it, so I can't sit here and go, yeah, that will 100% work. I haven't seen it. I don't know. So in terms of what I'm comfortable with, I would much prefer Marino, Timber at left back.
I think, look, between the three of them, like, you're not out there in this world. I personally, on a big Champions League night, I'm much more comfortable with Ricardo Calafiori defending wide spaces. I'm much more comfortable with Ricardo Calafiori defending a Leroy Sané, especially on a strong foot. And I'm a lot more comfortable, on a big Champions League night to be super dominant in our duels. And ideally, I think it would depend on form. I'm fine with Timber starting at left central midfield, but I probably would do Marino in big nights, because I mean he's got incredible pedigree, and I think that's a very tall team. It's a team that would be brilliant in terms of defending a high line.
We went for the Alex route, right? We started Marino, and we go for George's left wing option and Martinelli. Do you guys think that sorts our left hand side out, or do you still think it needs work? Maybe a signing or two.
I'd have Jurriën Timber at left back at that point. I would.
Okay. So you wouldn't start Calafiori and Martinelli together?
Wait, why wouldn't you start them together?
Because I don't see Calafiori. Firstly, I think Calafiori's best times for Arsenal will come a little bit more centrally. Which is not to say we get rid of Gabriel, but I think it just means that he's going to have to be used slightly differently. And also, I feel that left hand side. Yes, okay, you have Mikel Merino, who's able to drift out wide and allow Martinelli to come in a little bit more in front.
Timber wouldn't offer more of an overlap from that perspective. Timber would slot in right next to Rice.
No, but I trust him a little bit more, not just carrying through the middle third, but doing lots of different things in the middle, as in his ability to receive, to play through the middle third, to find options in the middle. I trust Calafiori more not necessarily more, but I trust Calafiori more from deep to get into those zones. But Timber, to kind of agree with you, George, I think centrally I can see that happening. So I think as a pod, I prefer that pod from Marino, Martinelli, and Timber than Marino, Calafiori, and Martinelli.
I don't mind either way. I'm winning right now in this scenario.
Yeah, but it's a great problem to have, Joe.
It sounds a bit decent to that.
It does, and but yeah, no. I think,
do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean, though, George? Like,
depending.
Just quickly, do you know what I mean? Like on the right hand side, we have White, Ødegaard, and Saka as a brilliant three-sided pod, and I don't think that works with any one of them dropping out. And on the left hand side, I just don't think Calafiori. Again, I could be wrong, and I would love to be wrong, but from what I've seen so far from left back, influencing the game, I trust Jurriën Timber to be more in that pod and sort of playing those 1-2s and not necessarily drifting out wide. But Marino can do that, and he can be the one on the inside, and he can play those slip balls through to Martinelli. I think Calafiori would be much more of a sort of carrier from deep, who I don't know whether he could affect play in the same way that Jurriën Timber could in the middle third. I don't know.
I mean, well, you have to understand that Martin Ødegaard is going to go deep into the pivot along with Declan Rice, as well as last year. So if Moreno is going to be the one responsible for primarily overlapping, you do need a runner, and you do need Calafiori, who has done that brilliantly. The problem is like, what are you asking, right? Like, is Mikel Merino going to be more of the deep to form a pivot to push Martin Ødegaard higher? And then who's the one that's providing a more effective overlap? I think Calafiori, whilst not perfect, does that best with Jurriën Timber. The time that I would really want a Jurriën Timber, let's say, in terms of arriving in those zones, I still would actually push him up. I don't think he works as well with Mikel Merino, I guess. I think he can do it. But I personally prefer, at least in a holding pivot, to have two people that are taller.
I hear that.
Especially if Moreno's going to go. And I like, when I say Timber at left central midfielder, it's because I personally feel that he is a defensive shuttler. He can jump onto people in the same way that Rice was asked to do in the 8, but also he's a lot cuter in the final third. I'm not going to ask him to overlap as much. And so I would actually pair Calafiori and Timber together a little bit more, because whilst Calafiori is not perfect, he is the best overlap option in the squad, at least from fullback. So if I'm not asking my midfielder to do that, I'm asking him to stay in the pockets, then I'd probably keep Timber there, and that's how I'd organize it. That's the pairings, at least I would do.
I'm not as convinced by Calafiori's overlap, but I hear that. George, I'll do anything you want if you stop calling him Moreno.
Anything he wants.
Anything. I'll come to Canada right now and do anything you want.
Let's pause it right there. I mean, this is what I was going to ask you guys is, look, we look at a midfield there of Rice, Moreno, and Odegaard. Is it better than this trio instead? Partey, Rice, and Odegaard? Because we still have this man at the club, and it doesn't look like he's going anywhere. So would you rather have Rice as a 6 or start Partey as a 6, have Rice as the 8 and Odegaard next to him?
It does depend on the opponent. I would probably have
very Alex answer.
No, but it does here, because we're talking about the best teams in the world, and Madrid and Bayern are very different. So for example, for Bayern, I'd probably want legs. And I think for Madrid, I would look at technical accomplishment there, and Partey is really vertical. So I mean, part of the issue is that you also don't know what kind of Partey you're going to get in terms of last season, right?
Right now, Partey's on my bench, but that's not the Partey that I know.
Partey fit and firing, I agree, is a starter. Partey fit and firing, and he's in form. He gets into this team, no questions asked. But I don't know if I've seen that level from him in a while. Yeah.
And then if Partey was in and Rice was the left 8, I'd probably then look for a Calafiori, because I think there's more effectiveness in the. While I don't think he's as effective as Ben White in the overlap, I do think there is enough there, more than Timber, and then you'd be clogging up the zones if you had Timber in there. So yeah.
Right. So Partey on the bench, front 3
at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's not bad, by the way. Thomas Partey's on the Arsenal bench.
So
we had El Neni last season.
Yeah. So we've settled on Calafiori.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with the back 4.
You have the deciding vote, Bhavs.
Yeah, happy with the back 4. I think that will be the case as well. And the midfield, it looks like it's the possibility. We could see Timber start there, but I'm not sure about the left wing and striker. That's what I'll say.
You're not
and
sure
I feel
about
like,
left wing.
And I'm saying that because I feel like we will sign a forward this window. And I'm not sure if it will be a left winger or a striker.
But we're going based on this team being against a big team, and we've only signed Calafiori and Moreno. That's what we've decided.
But do you guys think that will be the case with Nketiah going, Nelson potentially going, Smith Rowe going as well?
Coming in. I've made
changing the rules.
Well, I can change the rules because I'm in charge of the show, right? And that's what the chat wants as well. I'm giving the chat what they want, right? So forward signings, because honestly, I thought it was
boring though, right? Like if the Calafiori and Moreno is the only signing that we do, then obviously Kai Havertz is starting. Like there's no debate between them, right? Like it is a boring solution, but like I don't know. I do think it's fun, because otherwise we just know the lineup and we can move on. But if we are going to assume signings, I mean, I would love to know from you two, because I've been really clear who I think it's going to be at the end of the window.
Well, George, it looks like that guy is going elsewhere. I'm just saying. No matter how much, I mean, it looks like PSG in Saudi Arabia.
No, PSG have moved away. That's what the recent links have been. If anything, he's potentially going to Saudi.
So look, the reality is he's leaving Napoli this season, right? He is going. We know that. But my question is, let's just say the reports that have linked him to Saudi Arabia and PSG, and he ends up going either of those ways, and he's off the market. Who do we then go for? Because as of right now,
well, according
it doesn't look like it's coming to Arsenal.
Williams, like if we're going to do this whole link thing, then Nico Williams is not an option either.
Okay, well, Alex, do you think we're signing Osimhen with this window?
Yes.
Because right now I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening right now.
Yeah, neither do I, mate. But you got to believe. You got to believe, baby.
Actually, who do you guys believe? If according to links, and we want to use the link logic, because we Williams is also
Link
not
logic.
Link logic
Link
is
logic.
that Williams isn't coming.
Link logic. Moreno's not coming either. His links
I mean,
don't.
it depends what links you're looking at.
Yeah.
I think we're going to sign a winger.
Mhm.
I feel this is just pure feeling. I feel Nico Williams might happen. That's my feeling. And then everyone's got to go, but this report from Gerard Romero, whatever. Fine. I'm saying what I feel, which is Nico Williams. Yeah, the Osman thing it just feels like it's going to be one of those kind of sagas. And by the way, that might be something we're happy to kind of hold on to. It might be a case of we're saying, look, we have a squad plan and we're going to get everything done. If we can go and get Osman, great. If we can't, then no. But either way, we're set. I feel like extracting Victor Osimhen, Nigeria's dream, from a club helmed by De Laurentiis and coached by Antonio Conte, could be quite a difficult task.
I think that's exactly why he's leaving. Conte wants him out now, and he won't settle for less. I mean, Conte will.
According to the links, if we're playing links games.
He is leaving Napoli. I do agree with that.
No, but he's always been that way. Like Conte has been somebody that walks in and demands transfer market authority, and he's made it really clear he doesn't like something. He didn't do the same with Kvaratskhelia. Like he was very adamant about keeping him.
Fine, but that doesn't mean we're signing him. Do you know what I mean? I can't see that personally.
So,
at the minute,
according to links, Arsenal will sell Emile Smith-Rowe, Eddie Nketiah, and Reece Nelson, all for fees currently that will mean that Arsenal will have had a transfer net spend of £0 million. We actually will be in profit. So
yep.
So are we saying that in order to beat Pep, we're just going to spend it on Nico Williams, who would be a major marquee and he would be brilliant and he would do great? But are we saying that Arsenal are spending £42 million essentially?
What I would do is Victor Osimhen and Nico Williams, but in terms of what I'm thinking, what the club will do, my sense of what's going to happen, for some reason I can't. It's there's not based on anything, by the way. It's just based on a feeling. It's based on my subjective opinion, and I just can't see the Osimhen thing happening. But I can.
Okay, here let me put it this way: this pairing is way less than Osimhen Martinelli in terms of potency.
Okay.
If you're
so you're saying this front three here of Havertz, Williams, and Saka versus Osimhen, Saka, and Martinelli is in this effective.
Miles different.
Okay.
Miles different for me.
But George, just out of curiosity, if let's just say Osimhen does go to PSG or Saudi Arabia, despite the links, who else would you then go for? Like, would you then go for Williams, or would you go for someone else, or leave it for another window instead?
Are we saying that Nico Williams is still open?
Yeah, Williams
in this scenario. I mean, he's the next best option because you always go and recruit the best prospect. If you can't get your marquees, we're assuming that marquees can't happen, then you recruit the next best prospect. But I'm definitely not prioritizing that between the two. And if we're looking at, again, box efficiency, not to loop it back, but I mean, it's going to be the question that we want to ask for Mikel. It's the only thing that we haven't addressed this year.
Yeah.
If we're talking about the left-hand side, we're talking about the left back being a problem, we've addressed it. Talking in theory, Mikel Merino will be somebody that will provide a better fluidity on the left-hand side. The last thing that Mikel has verbally mentioned is box efficiency. And if you're asking me between Kai Havertz, Nico Williams, or Osimhen versus Martinelli, the latter has a far greater box efficiency for me. So that's why.
Right. So there isn't a clear striking alternative to Osimhen.
There never was. There never was.
Okay.
If we weren't going to get Victor Osimhen, I wasn't going to recruit a striker. And I would argue if we don't do that, by the way, I'll place a little bit more emphasis. Arsenal better go and get a right wing as well. For me, not getting Osimhen is a feasibility thing. It's not a money thing. So if you do get Williams, we better not stop at Williams. For me, I would look at Karim Adeyemi in terms of a right wing Saka backup. I would even be open to looking at Barcelona in terms of Rafinha at that point. These are players that I would look to. I would look towards a right winger to complement. I wouldn't be sitting there and resting at £42 million and saying that that's good enough for us. I would be, if we can't get the top marquee forward, then absolutely complete the winger depth. That needs to be the logic for me.
But then the question then becomes, does that solve the box efficiency? because
No.
the players we mentioned outside
No,
the
that's
box.
why I have my.
So that's why I was wondering if you'd had a different player inside the box, maybe a player that's not quite Osimhen's level, maybe slightly below, or a player that's not far off. Maybe links of Gyökeres and Isak and players like that.
No, that for me, no, I actually think Nico Williams and Rafinha would help the collective and make Bukayo Saka, would make others a lot more box efficient, which is a bigger improvement than it would be to get a B-list striker in the same profile, which holds us back a little bit more.
Okay, so if you were in charge of Arsenal, George, you're putting Osimhen up front and Martinelli left wing, and that's your 11. Maybe Timber in midfield over Moreno as well?
No, that midfielder position is going to be opposition dependent. I mean, in the top teams, I would put Moreno because I think he's got a little bit more experience in terms of that. And, Timber would be learning. No matter what I think in terms of his integration in midfield, it would be a new role for him. So he's not going to walk in and be a superstar there. Moreno's been doing this position for years and been one of La Liga's best midfielders in the past 3-4 years, doing that exact role. So I think you'd be asking a lot for Timber to walk in his first season playing midfield to absolutely start over that. So, but yeah, no, that would be my team. Osimhen up top and then Martinelli at wide.
Okay, but as it stands, this is the team we've come up to. Havertz up front and Williams is left wing. Alex, does that win a title next season? Because as of right now, there's a good chance that this could be 11 next season in terms of Moreno, Calafiori for sure, and maybe if not Williams, Martinelli. Is that enough, or do we need to go above and beyond and maybe go and sign an Osimhen or sign a top forward to really take us to the next level?
Mikel took our "we need to fix the left-hand side" conversations seriously, didn't he? An entirely new left-hand side. I think it will be. Yeah, I think it will be. I think. Look, I think honestly, we were talking about this on the podcast, weren't we? And saying how much we hate Arsenal, but we were like, if Arsenal, the thing we were really saying was, if Arsenal sign Marino and Calafiori, that might be enough. Might, maybe, possibly. But don't stop there. Why do that? Especially when you look at the numbers that we have in terms of the new Champions League revenue, in terms of the commercial revenue changes, in terms loads of things like the position we've been in the league in the last couple of years. There's the wage space that we got. There's money to spend. George said something earlier, which I completely agree with. The Osimhen thing isn't a money thing; it's a feasibility thing. It's whether he would lead. It's whether it would happen, and I'm completely bang on with that. Just to answer the question, if this were to happen, if we were to go and get Calafiori, Marino, and Nico Williams as a summer, I think that's like just enough to go and win a league. My absolute preference would be to go and sign a Victor Osimhen or a Rafa Leao and guarantee it and go.
Would you be happy with that though, Alex? Like, I mean, for me, I'll just say I would be very upset if that's all we did, because again, it is a feasibility thing. So no problem. If Osimhen can't happen, no problem. But I would be livid if we didn't then complete the winger depth, because it's not a money issue for me. We will have spent 42 million pounds. I would be very angry that we didn't get a right-sided option in the case of not going for Osimhen, who in theory is an 85 million pound hit. Like, you have an extra 40 million pounds that you absolutely should be getting a right wing depth for me.
Yeah, I mean, when I say maybe what I want to do, it's like what I want to do within reason. Look, if we're just talking completely within the realm of the budget, which I agree with you, but complete dream, yeah, of course, Nico Williams and Victor Osimhen. But I'd be happy with and willing to say I think we're going to win the league with a summer of Calafiori, Marino, and Osimhen. And I imagine
you think that's the budget though? Like, it's
no, that's what I said. That's what I just said. I don't think that's maxing out our budget, but from what we know. But and again, you have to accept that we don't know everything. But I don't think we're maxing out the budget there. But I think that might be a case of where we say if we did go and sign an Osimhen, in terms of winger depth, we do have some options. Also in terms of Jesus, who would be pushed out wide, and I think that would be a decent chance of winning the league. If we, as I just said, if we have a dream, like I think this is guaranteed to win the league, there's levels to this, then yeah, we would go and sort out the winger depth. But I can't see us going and spending 100 million pounds on Osimhen and also and sorting out the winger depth. I can't see that happening.
No, yeah, I'm not saying that. I guess what I'm saying is Osimhen's off the table. We no longer can get Osimhen. Okay, for whatever reason, it's not happening, and you only get Nico Williams. For me, you have another 50 million pounds. in that budget.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I
either
agree
you
with
get only Osimhen once, or you get Nico Williams plus another right-sided attacker. For me, you have an additional 85. Let me be really clear. We only have another 85 million pounds in the remaining budget, in my opinion. Either that all gets spent on Osimhen, or for me, you buy a left wing, which with Nico Williams being only 42 million pounds, I think you have another 40 million pounds, 43 million pounds, if you want to be precise, for a right wing option.
Yeah,
as depth.
No, I think your monetary calculations are bang on. But my point is what I think Alex Moneypenny personally thinks Arsenal will do, and I think I can't see us.
So you think if we don't do Osimhen, we only do Nico Williams? We don't get any other signing?
Well, I not necessarily, but my point was more. I don't think
Marquee
we go
signings.
I don't think we do two. It depends what you think of Nico Williams, but I don't think we do two marquees.
I agree. Yeah, there's no pushback there, but I'm confused. Like, if you think like Nico Williams is the only thing we do, like, would you be happy with that?
Again, happy is it's subjective. I don't think it fixes all of our issues. I don't think we maxed out the budget, but again, I don't know.
Should we demand that?
Yeah.
But I don't. The problem is, George, we don't know what the budget is. We can do our calculations from Transfermarkt and sort of doing things in our heads, but we literally don't know what it might be.
No, that is true. That is true.
I will do this because I want to go even farther. I will be incredibly disappointed, and I think that we will have let ourselves down if we do not do more outside of a Nico Williams. I mean, factually, we will have spent 42 million pounds in a summer that very many people at the beginning of the summer, even if we were skint in our most skint areas of the pitch, we've spent 70 million pounds in that. In our most skint era outside of Europe. To sit there and only have 42 million pounds spent after having what effectively would be over 70 million pounds of pure profit coming in would be absolutely ridiculous to me. Actually, I would be very, very angry with Arsenal in that scenario, personally.
But with respect, George, without I agree in terms of like what we know, in terms of the information that we have, but we don't have the information to say this is how much we had to spend and we didn't spend it. We don't know.
I think we have definitely more than our worst period in the last 6 years. In our worst period, we spent 70 million pounds. I would really struggle to understand the logic that in our best period financially ever in the last 6 years, we will have spent less than our worst period in the last 6 years. That's where my logic comes from. I'm not asking for another 45, 100, 150 million pounds, but to at least spend a 70 million net. That for me is the minimum. In fact, I think everybody going into the window would have said at least Arsenal are spending 100 million net.
I did.
You said you thought it was going to be the biggest.
But I'm separating out. My point is this: I'm separating out what I would do, what I think, what I would like, what I would feel, and what I expect Arsenal to do, what I expect Arsenal to whatever. They're two different things to me, and I think I just think there's a separation there, and I don't. We're removing me from the situation. No, we're not removing me, but removing what I would want to do. I don't expect Arsenal to do certain things that you're suggesting, which I don't know whether it had the capacities to do so. I don't know.
I would be livid. I'm telling you right now, I would be livid, mate. I would think.
Cannon podcast right in comment.
No, I 100%.
This track.
Wait, because we have to put into context what we're saying here, right?
Yeah.
We're saying that Arsenal, after having increased their commercial revenue by over 100 million pounds, Arsenal, who have increased their major sponsorship revenue in July by over 75 million pounds, Arsenal, who off the back of now 2 years finishing second and having 2 years of Champions League revenue, are going to spend less than what they did when they weren't in Europe. I don't think that I'm expecting us to add another 150 million pounds, but to spend less than what we spent outside of Europe would be crazy to me. It would actually be negligent. It would be to the point of negligent. I don't think that we're looking at a situation where right now, I'm not looking at the books, but I can personally say, I can guarantee we have enough funds to spend the amount of money that we've spent outside of Europe at the very least.
I don't think you can guarantee that. No one can, unless you're looking at the books at Arsenal.
But what would be your logic for it?
I think you can. Well, George, I agree with your logic. This is my point. I'm separating out the logic that we can do as fans and go, here's the commercial revenues, all these things that I completely agree with you, and the actual knowledge of the number in Arsenal's bank account. We don't know that. we can't.
We know it from Swiss Ramble. We have a really healthy financial position. I would think that there was no, like, all the evidence to date shows that even as of last year's books, Arsenal weren't in a position of suddenly losing crazy amounts of money. In fact, we actually were improving our deficit. We did the biggest jump in our improvement of deficit that we've done in the last 5 years. And that doesn't even include the advancements we've made commercially. That if we include that this year, which are on these books, because we know that, and we actually know the Emirates, the Adidas deals, Soba, all those come in, like, we know that. So our books will reflect actually even more than £100 million commercial revenue.
There might be things you don't know. That's a consideration.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to know what would make us spend less than what we've spent outside of Europe.
So would I. If we don't do that, so would I.
That's why I'd lose it. That's why I said I'm going to have a rant. I mean, I would have to, like, I can't, you know what, here, let me put it to you this way. Forget the I think and whatnot. In the hypothetical, I can't give you a logical answer why Arsenal wouldn't. Even with I think, I expect, like, I couldn't even dream up to you and say, oh, well, George, you're missing this aspect of this portion of the finances. You're missing this aspect that's different from this player. I genuinely wouldn't have a reason to justify it, unless suddenly there's a big scandal or something.
And neither would I, but that comes from a position of suggesting that we have all the information, and we don't. George, to be totally clear with you, if we come to the end of the window and we have a net spend of £42 million, I'll be annoyed. If we come to the end of the window and we haven't solved the squad issues, I'll be annoyed. If we come to the end of the window and, I'm with you, but my point is this separation of what the fans know, what we expect, what we demand, what we know, what we feel, and then what the club are able to do. I do feel they're different things. I don't know what that is. So I hope that matches up, but we can't expect that.
Right, lads, referees coming in. That's enough. You can't blow for blow. Right, it was a great fight. But we're going to end it on a super chat, right? Aya Gumale says, I hope we don't get Osimhen. I watched Serie A and I've been watching Osimhen since 2020 when he moved from Lille to Napoli because he excited me. He is not as good as you guys think. There's a good reason why other big teams aren't rushing to get him. Right, George? Don't give us your opinion. We know what you mean. We know what you think. Right, we'll leave it at that. I want to ask the audience quickly for a few final questions. Quick fire. We've got less than 5 minutes. A little Q&A. Right, give us your questions and we'll go answer them here. Nothing to do with Osimhen, nothing to do with Arsenal transfer budget, please, because we've just had a whole, at least 10 minutes of George, just emptying.
We could clip that and then it's like George and Alex huge fight or something.
Yeah, we'll just get a little thumbnail of you guys in the boxing gloves.
Like that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Go on, George, you can do that.
I'm worried. I mean, we've got young Mike Tyson in the other corner, so I mean, I'm worried.
Young Mike Tyson, hey, Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Ilkay Fernandez? I think he's been linked to Arsenal recently, hasn't he?
I can't say. I haven't gone in depth.
I think it's Eke. I haven't watched him. Ben, I will say, if you want to look at him, Ben Mattinson, I think his name is on X.
That's what I saw.
Done a couple of threads on him, so if you want to check that out, I don't know the player.
Do you think Oscar Rams? I think that's a guaranteed yes. No. I don't think he's staying, is he?
I think if we do, it's a loan. I don't think we get any sale for
Oh, is it? Oh, fair enough. Yeah. Fabian Ruiz or Mikel Moreno? But there were some reports about Fabian Ruiz, but then it kind of with all the Moreno reports, I think it's kind of been put to one side.
It's very weird. Like I think he would help in terms of the Odegaard role and doing things better in the current Odegaard role. But in terms of what we'd like, if we wanted the Xhaka role of the previous season, Mikel Moreno is better at doing that than Fabian Ruiz. But Ruiz is a lot better in the middle third in terms of helping teams transition from the middle third to the final third. But if you're looking for kind of a high 8 that's able to overlap and create space, I think Moreno is a better profile for that role. But Fabian Ruiz is a better player for me.
Yeah. Another question here. Is Moreno going to be the midfielder Arteta tried to make Havertz? I think it's because he's trying to refer to maybe his aerial duels. being very good in the air? What do you reckon?
I mean, did Arteta try? I mean, it depends what you mean by tried to make Havertz a midfielder. He played him in midfield. They're very different players. Yeah, I mean, like Mourinho's a very, very different profile from Havertz. I think that's probably slightly coloured by the idea that like we're sort of hurt by the Havertz midfield project. I, by the way, feel Havertz will play some minutes in midfield next season. I think
Okay.
I don't think he's done in there. I think there's some games where I see him being useful in there. I mean, for example, like against was it against Aston Villa he played there?
Yeah, he did, and he's pretty good.
There's it. Honestly, I know this is if my grandmother had wheels. If we'd won that game, there'd be a lot of people saying, "Ooh, how about some midfield? What are we saying?" That was real results-based analysis. It was really good.
Yeah. Would you bring Lee Gunner or an Arteta outer onto stream?
Yes, I would love that. I want to talk to someone who is like proper Arteta out. I'd love to.
But that's the whole point of why we did change my mind and those things. So I mean, look, we welcome different opinions on here. I think it's what creates friction, and we both just want what we want for the club. We both want what's best. I mean, I disagree with 99.9%. Let me be clear about what Lee specifically might say about the club, but I mean, there's no reason why we can't have a debate. And look, I think Lee I would struggle, but I'd love to get somebody that's a little bit of a pessimist.
We can get Lee, man. We can get Lee on.
For an outlook on.
We should do it, man. We should do it. I'm not sure he'd come on the channel, but we should do it.
Favorite Emirates memory? Go on, George.
I can't lie. I got the most excited about the Welbeck goal with Leicester because like my elation at that point. I was like, but I've had better. Maybe Emirates. Honestly, Thierry Henry coming back was really top. Like just the nostalgia that it brought. It helped. And I don't know. And then maybe the last thing that I can debate is maybe RVP's season. After finally saying that
Spurs game.
Mate, the whole season was special from him. After finally finding like a season where he could actually play. After so many seasons of kind of edging his potential. It was just, it was crazy.
Where's Rohan? Alex, where's Rohan?
Probably at work. Or probably in that group chat that you guys are always talking in.
Yeah, there's always that group chat that everyone talks about. Edging. Anyways, guys, Rich Nelson's winner. Arshavin's goal against Barca for me is up there. Has to be up there.
I don't go to the ground that much, but I was at the game we beat Spurs 3-1. I think season before last at home. So it was the Xhaka goal.
Was it Aubameyang?
Emerson Royale was sent off.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Jesus scored as well.
That was
nice. Partey scored a banger in that game.
I was right behind it. It was so good.
Yeah, so good. Anyways, guys, it's been a very eventful live stream. A lot of discussions, debates. But you know what? Just make up. But anyways, guys, hope you guys have enjoyed this live stream. As always, don't forget to smash a like if you have enjoyed. Just comment down below your opinions. Subscribe to the Cannon Podcast.
Don't just click like. You must
smash that like button, man. Yeah. Bhavs, where are you in Los Angeles? I'm near the hills. I've made the right choice this time. I'll tell you that for a fact. Because last time round where I stayed, it didn't feel safe, right? I feel safer now, for sure. But hey, yesterday I was on like a bit of a tour, or not super chat as well. It was a plant tour. Basically we were in a bus where some plant was. If you know what I'm trying to say, you know what I'm trying to say.
Oh.
And so we went around we went around the hood. Right? We were in the hood.
I thought it was like chrysanthemums and tulips and stuff. No?
The plant tour, right? The plant tour was very planty. We were in a car. It's like a limousine. I don't know. It's not limousine, but it's like a. Can't really explain it, but it was like a long vehicle basically, and there was plants being consumed in that vehicle. Not by me specifically, by the way. I will say right now, plants will be consumed. We went through the hood and we learned about the LA gang culture and how dangerous it is. So,
No,
yeah,
it's crazy.
apparently in LA,
crazy.
you can't wear certain color hats, which I don't wear hats personally, but it's good to know. It's good to know.
You guys
Anyways,
have something in the UK as well. That's pretty. Like, to be fair,
postcode rivalries.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
depends.
But it's not
Basically,
as
if you drink like Yorkshire tea and someone else drinks like PG
yeah.
tips,
So George, if
it's
you
like a
come to
real
the UK,
rivalry.
just do not
Need to
have
be
PG
careful.
tips. It's very
Yeah.
dangerous.
Need to be
It can get
careful.
hectic out there. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching as always, and thanks for keeping it Arsenal. Take care. Peace.
Good.